Hello dear students, I am Dr.S.D.Pagar, Associate Professor, Department of Geography. Dear student, I welcome all of you in this online video lecture series on behalf of Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajas, KRT Arts, BH Commerce and AM Science, popularly known as KTHM College Nasik. Dear student, this is our M.Sc Geography for first class, semester 1, and title of our subject is Principle of Economic Geography, and the paper code is GGUT-113. Dear student, in this lecture we are going to discuss our topic number 5, that is transport and communication. In this topic we have a subtopic, that is modes of transportation. Dear student, in previous lecture we have discussed detailed information about modes of transportation part 2. In this part 2 we have discussed detailed information about railway transportation. For today's lecture, we have a study objective or learning objective, that is to discuss modes of transportation part 3. In this part 3, we are going to discuss detailed information about water transportation. Dear student, water transport is the process of moving peoples and goods by boat, ship or sailboat over a sea, ocean, lake, canal and the river. Water transport are of two types. First is inland waterway and second is ocean waterway. Inland waterway comprise of rivers, canals and lakes. It is also known as internal water transport, whereas ocean waterway comprise of ocean and the sea. It is also known as international water transportation. That is very important thing about the water transportation. Dear student, water transport in India has played a significant role in countries' overall economic development, or you can say in economy. Approximately 95% India's foreign trade by volume and 70% by value move through the ocean route. That is a very important thing about the water transportation that we have in India. Dear student, India has extensive network of inland waterway in the form of river, canal, backwater and the creeks. The total navigable length is 14,500 km that we have in India that we use for the water transportation. Dear student, India has a very long coastline. At present, there are 12 major ports and 200 minor operable ports along the coastal line that were used for especially for the carried out the international trade with the other country and India. So therefore, water transport is very important with respect to the India's international trade and also the internal trade at some part. Dear student, water transport is not only environment friendly or you can say eco-friendly, but also cheaper than the other modes of transportation like railway transportation, road transportation and the other transportation. Dear student, let us talk about what are the major advantages of the water transport. The first very important advantages of the water transport is it is suitable for heavy cargo. Means it is a very suitable for the heavy goods. Water transport is the only suitable means to transport the heavy and the big side goods and the material. It is the most suitable for the carrying heavy, bulky and the cheap traffic like coal, iron ore and so many things. For that purpose we use the water transportation. Therefore, it's very important. If you want to carry these all things, then definitely as compared to other modes of transportation, water transportation is the very important. For the foreign trade also, for the foreign trade, the water transport is the cheapest and the suitable means for transporting goods, conducting the trade among the different countries, importing and exporting goods. Really, dear student, if we are talking about the international trade of India or the foreign trade of India with the other country, for that purpose we use the mainly the water transportation. So therefore, with respect to the foreigner trade, the use of the Water transportation is very useful modes of transportation in case of India. Not only in India, but rest part of the world also they are using in a large scale the water transportation for conducting their international trade or the foreign trade with the various countries of the world. Then another important advantages of the water transport is natural gift. Yes, yes, dear student, the rivers, lakes, seas, and so many things that we are using for the water transportation all are free gift provided by nature. So no additional expense is needed to construct the waterway like roads and railway construction. Therefore, really it is a natural gift of the to us that by using the river, lake and ocean or the sea, we can able to carry out the transportation through the water. So therefore, this is a very important advantages for us when we are talking about when we compare the water transport with the other modes of transportation. Another important advantages of the water transport is cheapest. It's a really cheapest mode of transportation. Water transport is the cheapest means. It is considered as the cheapest mode of transport among the other modes of transport. Why? Because you know that we don't require the construction of the road and the bridge and various things that we are required in the case of road transportation and the railway transportation. Therefore, we save the money that there is no need to invest the money and do the various things that we require in case of the railway and road. So therefore, as compared to other modes of transportation, we require the very less amount invest to start the water transportation. Therefore, it is known as the cheapest modes of transportation with respect to the when we compare the investment and the money that we require the carried out the transportation through the waterway. So therefore, this is very important advantages of the water transportation when we compare with the other modes of transportation. Another important advantage is it is suitable for transporting low value commodities in the large scale like crude oils and the mineral. Yes, dear student, if you want to carry out all these things are like a crude oil and mineral, they have a very low value commodity, and if you want to carry out for a long distance, it requires a lot of money if you carried out the same things, same goods by using the road and railway transportation. But you know that, just I mentioned that it's the cheapest modes of transportation. Therefore, we can able to transport such type of the low value commodity like crude oil and minerals through the waterway, and therefore this is a very important advantages when we compare the transportation of the low value commodity with the other modes of transportation. Another important advantage is less fuel. Yes, we require the very less fuel when we transport the water, transporting the various things, goods and material from one place to another place with help of the water transportation. It can make use of the prevailing winds direction to cut down the cost of on fuels, especially area of the latitude between the 40° and the 60° in the south hemisphere. Yes, because this is the area where we have the very high speed winds are available, and that winds always help to us to run the ship or the boat from that area very fastly. And therefore we require the very less fuel, so we can able to save the amount of fuels. Therefore, we require the very less fuel. Especially, I am talking about the southern hemisphere, south hemisphere, where we have the that area have a very fast blowing winds, and that help to the carried out the ships from one place to another place with a very fast speed by consuming very less fuel. So therefore, this is very important advantage of the water transportation when we are compared with the other modes of transportation. Another important advantage that less maintenance cost. Yes, dear student, this is also very important advantages. Maintenance cost in rail and the road transport is quite high, but such maintenance we don't require in case of the water transportation. Therefore, it requires the very less amount when we compare the amount of the maintenance cost with respect to the rail and the road transportation. We require the very less amount in case of the water transportation. Therefore, This is also important advantages we have when we compare the water transport with the other modes of transport. Then another important thing, it is helpful in the defense, in the security purpose also, because development of the shipping is essential for the defense of our country also. It is also called second line of defense. And dear students, especially if we want to protect our coastline that time, here really that whatever we have the water transportation and the facility that we have along the coastal line, that is very useful for the internal defense purpose and even the helpful in the defense purpose to carry out the defense material and the soldier from one place to another place. Therefore, this is a very important when we are talking about the helpful in the defense purpose. That time waterway is very useful for us. And another important advantage is important for the foreign trade. Yes, dear student. Actually, I already mentioned this thing, but again repeat that water transport play important role in foreign trade. If we are talking of the India's foreign trade with the other country of the world, that time we have a very good option of the waterway to carry out our international trade or the foreign trade with the other country. And therefore, this is very important. The India's foreign trade is mainly depend on the water transportation. It's really true. And therefore, with case of in respect to the India, we have really, this is the great advantages of the water transportation when we carry out our international trade with the other country. Now, dear student, let us talk about the disadvantages of the water transport. The first is really very important disadvantages: slow speed and the time consuming. Yes, dear student, the water transport is a very slow means of transport. It takes long time to travel to our transport the goods. And you know that when we compare the speed with the aeroplane, compare speed with the railway, compare the speed with the car or motor car, as compared to them, in water transportation we have very less speed. So therefore, this it requires a lot of time. Suppose we want to send goods and our various material to other country, it requires a lot of time. So therefore, this is a very important disadvantages of water transportation. We are not able to use in such a case where we want to send immediately goods and goods for the other country or maybe the other person. That time really, due to the slow speed of this water transportation, we are not using frequently. So therefore, this is a very important disadvantages of the water transportation. Let us talk about the second disadvantage of the water transportation is risky. Yes, it is a very risky. Water transport is risky. Sea storm may cause ship boat accident. A great of lives and the properties may be lost due to the such type of the accident. There is a high frequency of happening such type of the occurrence of the sea storm in any time, and that can be responsible for the accident. And in that accident or in such event, definitely we can lose a lot of things. Especially I'm talking about the loss of the properties, loss of maybe the human being also affected by such accidents. So therefore, it's very risky when we carried out the water transportation in the deep sea region. That time we don't have too much help from the outsource. Therefore, this is a very risky way of transportation when we carried out the transportation from one country to another country for a long distance. Then we have the another important disadvantage that is very important, unsuitable for perishable goods. Yes, dear student, the water transport is not suitable for transporting perishable goods because it takes a long time to reach the destination or toward the market. It is not suitable for the perishable things like a vegetable, flower and other things, because you know that if perishable goods not reach within a short time, then they become useless and their quality of that perishable goods is decreasing. And that definitely, when the quality is decreased, that time the value and the use of that commodity is not useful when we sell them in the international market or maybe the other market. So if you want to carry out the perishable things like a vegetable, flowers and other things, for that purpose, this water transport is not suitable transportation. For that purpose, we require the road transportation or maybe the air transportation. So therefore, when we compare the transportation of the perishable goods with the air and the other modes of transportation, that respect we can say that really water transportation is not suitable for perishable transportation of the perishable things. Then we have the another important disadvantages of the water transportation is it is unsuitable for short distance. Yes, like railway transportation also, it is not suitable for the short distance. Suppose for short distance we can use the road transportation. So by using the auto or maybe the rickshaw or a taxi, you can able to travel for a half kilometer, 1 kilometer, maybe the less than that. But for this purpose, we are not able to use the water transportation. That is the main thing. And another important thing, the facility of the water transportation is not available everywhere in all part of the world, or maybe the internal part of the world, internal part of the country, because we have a limitation. The water should be there for water transportation, but water is not available for this purpose every part of the world, or maybe the every part of the region. So therefore, it is unsuitable for the short distance. If you want to travel for a short distance, if you want to carry out the goods and the material for a short distance, that time the water transportation is not suitable. Therefore, this is the important disadvantages of the water transportation. Another important thing I just mentioned, we can use this for a limited area. Yes, water transportation can operate only between the places which are located on the coast or maybe on the bank of river, canal and sea. So in rest part, this is unusable, because we are not able to carry out the goods and things and the people from one place to another place by using the water transportation, because there is a limitation, because we can use this transportation only at the river, canal, sea, ocean, or maybe in this area. And in other area we are not able to use. In the mountains area also we are not able to use. In the internal part of the India, where we don't have the river, we don't have the canal, ocean or these things, in that area we are not able to use. Therefore, this is a very important disadvantages of the water transportation. We have a very limited chance to conduct the water transportation for the various purposes. Then another important disadvantage is rules and regulation restriction. Yes, this is a very important thing. Sometimes use of the international water, open sea, is a matter of controversy. It is a common in case of India, when we have the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean area. When we carried out our transportation through the waterway in this area, there is always controversy about the rules and restriction laid down by the international community. So therefore, in this respect, when we are talking about when we carried out the international trade, that time this is always we facing this problem, that rules and regulation restriction sometimes that become a great obstacle to carry out the transportation at the international level. Another important disadvantage is unreliable. Yes, dear student, water transportation is the unreliable. The inland water transport by river is unreliable. Sometimes the river can change its course, and therefore we are not able to continue our transportation, which cause the dislocation in the normal route of the trade. And therefore, when the river change its course, that time we are not able to carry out our transportation through the same previous course of the channel of that river, because that river change its course. So in this condition we don't do anything. So therefore it is an unreliable modes of transportation when we are carried out this transportation through the river. Even another important thing, that when we have a lot of stormy weather condition at the coastal river, and that time also we are not able to use the water transportation, especially I am talking about the ocean water transportation. So therefore it is unreliable modes of transportation. Dear student, this was today's lecture. In this lecture we have discussed detailed information about water transportation. In next lecture we are going to discuss detailed information about the air transportation. That is very important